dancing in the wind and rain. Eyes are a fire, a flame. We don't even know our names, but labels don't mean nothing. They're just words, just a phrase.
Hello, welcome back. Today I've just had a lot of things like heavy on my mind recently, and especially after the episode I did with Miss Emily, I had some more things I felt like kind of just wanted to share. I'm not gonna lie, I've been struggling with these things myself, so I figured maybe I'll just come on here, be vulnerable, share with you some things that can help me and how I feel, and maybe you'll identify with them, maybe you won't. On the episode with Emily, we talked a lot about learning to love ourselves or accept ourselves. And let me tell you, that has been a hard journey for me. I feel like I was born not liking myself. I'm not really sure why. Maybe it was just the environment that I was in, which was very Christian, very much, you are a sinner, you are nothing, Jesus and God are everything, you're just a sad little worm without him. And if you think about that, how is that supposed to help you love yourself? But I really feel like the Christianity version that I grew up in was very much against loving yourself, because you're supposed to love Jesus and God first. And you're not supposed to love yourself, you're supposed to die to yourself. So I just grew up a very feisty, intense, strong-willed little child, and I never liked myself or my personality because I kept being told that it was wrong, that it was strong-willed, that I was disobedient, that I was rebelling, that I should be more this way. I should be more kind and quiet and humble and meek. So that, I feel like, started my hatred of myself, maybe more like my personality. And I don't know, I definitely feel like that started it. I wouldn't necessarily say that I hated my body, but I definitely noticed that I looked different than most of my friends. I did not have the little girl body. I wasn't skinny. I was thick and stocky from a very early age. I had boobs by the time I was 9. I started my period when I was 10. So I had a woman's body very early on, and also in the environment that I was in, I wasn't allowed to, I guess, celebrate my body because my body was shameful, because my body was sexual and men would sexualize me, and that was shameful and not holy. And, of course, it's only good if you find the one person that you marry forever, but it's shameful for everyone else. So I noticed that I didn't look like my peers and my friends, and I always felt kind of like a little left out, a little more awkward. I wasn't like cutesy and flirty with anybody, any boys in my group. I definitely had a crush on literally every single boy I ever met who was nice to me, which will say a lot. So I never had anyone that liked me that I knew of, even in my teen years. And I definitely, again, looked more voluptuous and more womanly than the rest of my friends. They were all tiny and little and cute and blonde. And they always had boys that loved them, had crushes on them. They were more extroverted or whatever. And I was very sarcastic, and I used that as a defense mechanism. And I was always making fun of myself because I figured if I made fun of myself first, then it wouldn't hurt if anyone else made fun of me, because I have been made fun of in my life a few different times, and it hurt a lot. And there's been times in my life where just walking down the street, I've heard people talking about me. And especially when I was bigger, I remember very vividly walking with my friends and seeing some boys point and laugh. They weren't boys, they were men, and I was an adult. And I remember they pointed and laughed, and I heard their comments, and I was ashamed, I was embarrassed, I was hurt, and none of my friends knew what happened. So yeah, I never had boys that had crushes on me, or if they did, I had no freaking idea because we weren't allowed to touch or talk barely or anything. So I have no idea. But I do remember very vividly in my later teen years when I was working in an office with a bunch of my peers for someone I will never speak about because it's very embarrassing that I ever worked for this person. Anyways, my friend Noah, he said something to me that I think I will never forget. I don't remember the exact words, but I was bagging on myself, and I don't know what I said about myself, something negative as usual. And he stopped and he looked at me and he said something along the lines of, Danielle, stop talking about my friend like that. He's like, you're not like that, and you're using this as a defense, and I can tell, and you need to say positive things about yourself. None of us think about you that way. None of us think that way about you. Why are you saying these things about yourself? And he yelled at me very nicely. Took me off guard. I had never heard anyone say that. Well, I should say I've never had anyone say that to me, and I didn't understand really at that time. And now I understand what he was trying to say. And this self-love journey has, oh my gosh, taken so long. I still couldn't stand myself. I still didn't like myself. I literally thought I was probably one of the ugliest people ever. And for a long time, I was very depressed. And I ate a lot of food, and I laid around, and I gained a lot of weight, and I was depressed again. I don't know if people really knew, but I was. And I think that, as weird as it may sound, I started to kind of learn to love myself when I started to take care of myself. Meaning, I did join Weight Watchers with a friend, and I don't believe in any of this shit now, but I do believe that trying to be a healthier version of myself was actually a step in the right direction of learning to love myself. So I can't knock diets and diet culture 1000% because I do think that it kind of helped started me on my self-love journey, meaning I just started to pay attention to myself and my eating habits and learn to choose healthier options for myself. I did lose some weight. I did it with a friend, and it was very encouraging. But, that started off my dieting for a long time. And again, that was hard. And I grew up with a mom who dieted constantly, and I kind of binged a lot, and I would snack a lot, and that was my escape. Eating was my escape. It made me feel better. I'm a very emotional eater. I would say I ate all of my emotions: sad, happy, angry, nervous, whatever. So I learned to kind of step back a little bit from that and feel my emotions. And then I don't really know what really triggered my self-love, I guess you could say. But there was obviously a few things, but I definitely think there was a lot of things that contributed to this journey of myself. But I started to just fake it till I made it. I started to dress myself differently. I tried to think more positively about myself, or maybe just not even think about hating myself so much, I guess, is really what it was. I started to smile at people in public more often and be a little bit more friendly. And I started to get attention from men, and I'd never really had that before. And I'll tell you what, that is a definite confidence booster, that's for sure. I think maybe I just realized I wasn't ugly, and that changed my life, which might be really stupid, but it is what it is. And I started dating and all of that, and started being on the internet and doing all the things, all the online dating and everything. And I've definitely had some hot messes of dates that mini relationships or conversations where, men would feel upset or rejected and then immediately turn it around and tell me I was fat and ugly. And it definitely stung a little bit. But over having this happen multiple times, I realized this is just men getting their egos hurt and reacting very immaturely. So it started not to bother me anymore because you know what? I didn't believe those things about myself anymore. So it didn't matter what people would say. But I'll tell you this, I literally struggle every single day. It's kind of funny because I feel like some days I look at myself and I'm like, God damn, I'm hot. I love these curves. Even though I have a little tummy, I like my tummy. I like my little jiggly thighs. You know, I like my breasts. I like my arms, my legs, whatever. And then the next day, I think I'm like the most ugliest troll you have ever seen on this planet. And how could I possibly function? I don't know what it is and why I go so up and down. But when I have those terrible days, you know, it's really hard. And I have to force myself, honestly, to not look at myself, or I have to force myself to not think bad things about myself. Because I literally would never think those things about anyone else. Why am I thinking that about myself? Literally never thought terrible things about any of my friends or any other people that I see out and about. Why do I think that I should say those things to myself? And sometimes what helps is putting on a cute outfit, doing my hair and makeup. I literally have to stand in front of the mirror all day and do my client's hair. There's some days I choose not to look at myself at all, and that's just how I get through the day. But my self-love journey was so much more than really just accepting or loving my body. It was also accepting and loving my personality, because I think, you know, that is something deeper. And yeah, that's still something I am working on. I realize I use sarcasm and jokes about myself as a defense mechanism, and I don't like it all the time. Sometimes I'm funny, sometimes I just need to shut the fuck up. And I have my little niece living with me now, so I have to really pay attention to how I speak about myself or other people or anything around her, because I do not want her to grow up hating herself, or anyone else for that matter. So yeah, but again, loving myself enough to put myself first is really important. Paying attention to my emotional needs when I'm feeling burnt out, when I'm feeling exhausted and tired and sore and whatever else. So those are all very important things I think we all need to learn about loving ourselves and accepting ourselves, is paying attention to those things. And again, just accepting your personality for who it is. Like, I have a dark, stupid sense of humor. Not everyone gets it, but the right people get it. Some people just put up with it. But I think some people love it. And yeah, I've definitely come to love more things about myself and my personality and my body and everything else. And I'm going to tell you something else. I need you to celebrate yourself. I need you to take selfies. I need you to take pictures. I need you to go do a photo shoot. I need you to get sexy. I need you to document that, because that's a very important part of loving yourself. I've had multiple boudoir sessions done, and it's a life-changing experience for me, and anyone, honestly. Just to see yourself how other people see you, very sexy, and not have any expectations, is so important. And I think it's very life-changing again. So I encourage you to do that. And again, I encourage you to take pictures as much as you want. For so long, I think so many people just want to talk shit about people who take selfies or post pictures or post about themselves too much. Who cares, you guys? Who cares? You live your life for yourself. If you want to post a selfie for the 12th time in a day because you're struggling today and you just need to force yourself to change your perspective or something, then you freaking do that thing. Please do the thing, and don't let anyone else judge you or shame you for doing whatever you're doing. And, you know, learn how to speak positively about yourself and hang around people that know you struggle with that and won't let you talk shit about yourself. Okay? You need to find those friends, because, my friends, if all you do is hang around people that are negative about themselves or other people, you will become those people, and you will think about those things about yourself and other people. So stop hanging out with people who are fat shaming or constantly talking about diets or constantly talking about changing their bodies or everything else and constantly obsessing over things, those are not healthy people. Sometimes you need to eliminate some friends from your group because they are not healthy for you, and that is okay. And sometimes you also need to learn to speak up. So I have been doing that, just talking about different things with different people. Just today I said something about basically triggering things someone posted that can be triggering to people with disordered eating or eating disorders. I didn't really want to do it, but I did it anyways. I've made comments when people talk about fat people or anything like that. I talk about it and I'm like, there's nothing wrong with that. There's healthy people at every single size. You can't judge people, all that. So I really think it's important to speak up. And when you see your friend talking shit about herself, you go up to your friend and you say, stop talking about my friend like that. Stop it. She isn't any of those things. And tell that person what you love about them that doesn't necessarily revolve around their body, or tell them something amazing that you love about their body. And you know what? You need to do that for yourself. So don't forget to do that. Okay. So start hanging around better people. That helps a lot. And the other thing I talked about on the episode with Emily was kind of curating my social media so that I start following a lot more positive people, therapists, body positive people, inclusive people, all of that. Stop following the Kardashians. Stop following celebrities. Stop following them. Stop following only gym people that are just ripped and tiny and have naturally good bodies and didn't have to work hard, because that's not realistic for most people. So start doing some of those things, and I guarantee you that you will start to change how you believe about yourself, if that makes sense. You will change what you believe about yourself. And if you have to fake it until you make it, that's what you're going to do for the day, okay? I have a sticker on my mirror that says, be the woman that you needed as a girl. And what I needed as a little girl was a mommy who loved herself, and taught me how to love myself. And I didn't have that, unfortunately. So I'm struggling still. And I'm almost 39 years old. And I wish my mom loved herself. And I wish my mom, but I can't change her, but I can only change myself. And so I have to change patterns. I have to change behaviors. I have to change thoughts. So that's what I'm working on hardcore. And sometimes I celebrate with food. Sometimes I don't. But understanding your relationship with food is also an important part of this too. So if you need help, there's a lot of disordered eating books or eating disorders books or podcasts or therapists or whatever out there. And I believe in the episode with Emily, we've also linked some cool stuff. So go ahead and look back at that one and see what kind of things you have in there to help you out. So if you'd like to email me, my email is thelotuscollectivepodcast@gmail.com. Email me anything, any questions. I'm sorry, it's lotuscollectivepodcast@gmail.com. So email me any questions or comments or concerns or any topics you would like to talk about or any awesome people you think that I need to have on this show. I would love to hear from you, see if anything has really spoken to you at all yet. Please reach out. And I love you. Until next time.